This is where you want to be at, right here. Right here. These are good too. They're like their little Belvita biscuits. These are good with a little peanut butter. That's a pretty good snack right there because it's got protein. You want to think around the corners. Think around corners here. Can't ever go wrong with oatmeal. Oatmeal is super easy, super awesome. Can never go wrong with oatmeal. And honestly, I know that some of y'all out there are like, I need coffee to survive. You don't need coffee to survive, bitches. You don't need coffee to survive. You can go without coffee. Trust me, you can go without coffee. Side note, I'm not the only one that has been thinking to come here because that was full and that was full. This was also full. I was just here 2 days ago. This was full. This was full. 2 days ago. You need to go today, bitches. You need to go today. All right. Trying to think. Prepper stuff. The number one thing is you don't want, like, I know, and this is very counterintuitive because I'm literally, like, making videos showing you, like, what I have, but you kind of want to keep it on the down low that you have the supplies. You don't want to be broadcasting to everyone that you have tons and tons of water and that you have tons and tons of food, because in an event where those things become scarce enough where people will starve to death, people that know that you have that don't will come and try to take it from you. So that is important. May not come into play here. We may not be in that desperate of a situation, but you definitely don't want to advertise that you have supplies, and you may want to consider getting a weapon, not necessarily a gun, although that would be the best weapon. Not necessarily a gun. You do need a weapon to protect your family, just in case. Just in case. The likelihood of power going out is very, very slim. We are very privileged in our country, but there is a possibility that if the power does go out, you have to be able to cook for your family. So you may want to consider getting charcoal, getting a small hibachi grill. Don't ever cook inside, carbon monoxide. But so you just want to make sure that you have a way to prepare these meals outside of electricity. So for me, I have a cauldron from the 1800s. It's been handed down in my family. It's an actual cast iron cauldron. I keep it in my backyard. And in the event that there's an emergency and our power goes out, I have wood and I have furniture. I am willing to break up my table and chairs to survive. And that's the kind of mentality you need to have. You need to be looking at the shit in your house and like, okay, if I'm in a survival situation, is this going to help me survive or not? You don't want any of these things. When it comes to prepping, you don't want anything fresh. You don't want anything like this. You know why? Because these things will rot and they will attract bugs. So in the event that you are trapped in your house, you don't want rotten things. This is where you want to go. This is where you want to be. You want to be beans and rice. This is going to be your best friend, beans and rice. I'm also going to get flour and sugar. Here's the thing. If you're trapped in your house for 3 weeks, a loaf of bread, it ain't going to last for 3 weeks. Kids got to eat, right? What are your kids going to want to eat? Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So what do you got to make? Bread. How do you make bread? Flour and sugar. So if you have kids, do yourself a favor and buy some flour now. These are also really good to have on hand. I have a ton of these already. I have a ton of this already. These are also really, really good to have on hand. It is pancake and waffle mix, but you can also make other things with it. They're actually really versatile. And if you need to survive off of pancakes for a week and a half, you can survive off of pancakes for a week and a half. Don't get cookies. Don't get cakes. Don't waste your money on any of those things. This is where you want to come. You want soups. Soups are awesome. You want to try to stay away from these, though. You want to try to get the ones that actually have good stuff in them, like the chicken noodle soup. Like, tomato soup is great, and cream of mushroom soup is great, but in a survival situation, they're not going to help you to survive. These are amazing. These little things right up here, they make an entire pot of soup. It's just dehydrated. You just add the stuff. These are actually really, really good. I usually, like with this, I might actually buy one of these because I have a bunch of potatoes at home. There's a cheddar and broccoli, and I add frozen broccoli to that one. And then the 3-bean soup mix, I add stewed tomatoes to that one. You don't have to. Those are awesome, awesome, awesome in this event. Those matched with that. That's dinner right there. Again, anything that's rice or pasta that's going to stay on the shelf and survive for a long time, this is where you want to come. Pasta that's going to stay on the shelf and survive for a long time, this is where you want to come. You want to get these. You want to get these. Now, yeah, they have a lot of sodium and they're not the best thing for your family, but if it comes down to surviving or not surviving, you're going to give a little less about the sodium count. Okay? That's the part y'all bitches need to understand. If your children are fucking starving, how much sodium is in that ramen ain't gonna matter. So get yourself some ramen. It's super cheap. It's super easy. Your kids will eat it no matter what, and it'll help everybody to survive. Rice is also good. Pasta is also good. Stay away from the gnocchi. Stay away from the pasta that has stuff in it. You just want to stick with plain old pasta. Plain, run-of-the-mill pasta can help your family survive for weeks at a time. Trust me. Plain pasta. Nothing fancy about it. Just plain old pasta. Sometimes, and you don't even need sauce. Sauce is nice, but you don't need sauce to survive. Pasta with Parmesan cheese and butter will help you survive just as easily as this. Done in Lidl, $7. I bought 2 things of flour, 1 thing of sugar, a thing of breakfast biscuits, and 2 loaves of bread. And the reason why I brought the flour and the sugar is sandwiches. Like, you can eat sandwiches, but a loaf of bread isn't going to last a month. So you have to, eventually you'll have to bake your own bread. So when it gets to the bake your own bread time in my family, because those 2 loaves of bread will be gone in a week, especially if my kids are home all day during the school, they'll be eating a lot of sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and stuff. So that bread will be gone very quickly. So I went ahead and got flour and sugar, and I have yeast. I bought it already at my house. So I have everything, water and eggs. I have everything else I need to make bread. So I'll be able to make loaves of bread if I need to. Things you need to know about the COVID-19. This is what they said last night in the press conference. If you don't have cable and you missed the press conference, the number one thing that they said was it's very similar to the flu in that it's spread through coughing and sneezing, and you have symptoms like the flu where you have a fever and you have flu-like symptoms and you're contagious. So you need to be carrying hand sanitizer, washing your hands. Don't touch, surfaces in public unless you absolutely have to. Make sure that if you're around people that are coughing or sneezing or acting in any way sick, that you take precautions like wear a mask, wash your hands more. Very simple, there's nothing real magic about that. That's the basic flu protocol, but that could literally be the difference between you. Wash your hands, carry hand sanitizer, avoid public places, avoid groups of people. Like my mother-in-law, who's in AA, she goes to 3 AA meetings a week. And I was like, you really may want to reconsider going to your meetings. Where groups of people gather is dangerous, especially for her. She's older, and older people and children are more vulnerable to the flu and to the COVID-19, just like the flu. So I'm like, you really may need to consider not going to your AA. And of course, my mother-in-law, my AA is my church. I'm like, well, do you want to die at your church, bitch? Because if you do, keep going to your motherfucking meetings. So that's definitely something you want to consider. Don't go to church. Don't go to AA meetings. Don't go to sporting events. Don't go to large groups of people.